Good. Hi everyone, it's Kino here. Welcome to day 12 of this Ashtanga Yoga Challenge. Thank you so much for joining the challenge with me and doing the Ashtanga Yoga method. So I want to encourage each of you to keep practicing. And the reason that I'm sharing these tutorials with you and this whole challenge is so that you can have the tools to keep the faith and inspiration to keep practicing. More than anything, remember this, yoga is a lifelong practice. It's not something you can snap your fingers and just easily understand. In fact, yoga works in such a way from the inside out that really kind of transforms the body, transforms the mind, and ultimately also transforms the spirit. And so remember that there are three elements that are present in every Ashtanga yoga practice. There's the breath, which you could say is your connection into the spirit. There is the asana, which you could say is your connection into the body. And there's the drishti, which you could say is your connection into the mental focus. And when these three elements come together, then you're practicing the Ashtanga yoga method. Remember, never to judge yourself by the shape of the asanas that you're making. It's not the size or the shape or the physical level of proficiency, but it's what happens at the magical intersection of breath, body, and mind that really holds the essence and the magic of the whole spiritual journey of yoga. Now, as we begin the progression in through the seated asanas, some of these asanas are quite more challenging than the standing asanas. To be honest with you, Ashtanga yoga is, to be honest with you, pretty hard. Like, the asanas are just difficult. And that difficulty is meant to be a challenge. And how you approach challenge is also a lesson in the spiritual journey of yoga. So let's get started with today's asana. Today's asana is one of the most difficult to say. It's also kind of difficult to do, but I think it's harder to say in the traditional Sanskrit than it is actually to perform in the asana. So today's asana is Tiryang Mukhaikapada Paschimattansana. This is an internal rotation of the hip joints. So we're combining forward bend with internal rotation. If you reflect back to the posture from yesterday, we combined forward bend technique with the external rotation. So in this way, you're really getting the full mobilization of the hip joints. And so when you have healthy hip joints, you have a healthy body as well. Healthy hip joints mean that you can get up and down from the floor comfortably, you have more freedom when you're walking, and you just feel better in your whole body. Okay, so let's go ahead and break that down. First, let's do a nice child's pose, because child's pose is going to give you both the internal rotation as well as a good connection in to your forward bend. So let's do the knees together, starting off with your hands on the ground, and then exhale, sink your hips back onto your feet. If this position is challenging for you, then you're probably going to need to modify today's asana. So let's just do a child's pose with the hands outstretched, and let's hold this for 5 breaths. 1. Try to really squeeze your knees together and notice if your hips have to pop up to support that. If they do, you'll probably need to modify today's posture. 2. 3. 4. Let's take one more breath here, and then we're going to change the hands. Now, change the hands, take your hands near the feet and roll the shoulders forward. So, staying in child's pose can help you work on your hip flexion. That means bringing your chest close to your thighs. It can help you relax your back muscles and pivot a little bit deeply into the pelvis. Now, to accentuate the internal rotation in the child's pose, I want you to squeeze the knees together. And we'll stay for another 5 breaths. 1. 2. Activate the muscles of the pelvic floor. Deep breathing. 3. 4. Almost there. And 5. Inhale, lift your head up. And exhale here. I want you to step your hands forward. We're going to come up to downward facing dog for 5 breaths. So inhale, back and up to downward dog. 1. 2. Draw the navel in. 3. Almost there. 4. 5. Switch your gaze forward. Cross your feet. Exhale, come on to seated. Stretch out the legs. Dandasana position. Let's get our forward bend established. Roll the shoulder blades down the back. Stay for 2 breaths just to stabilize in Dandasana. 1. Strong pelvic floor. Draw the navel in. 2, 3. Almost there. 4. I said 2 breaths, but let's just stay for 5. 1 more breath. Good. Paschimattanasana. Use any modification that's appropriate for you. Hold on to your ankles, hold on to your big toes. Inhale, prepare, deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold. We got 5 breaths. 1, 2, elongate the back muscles. 3, 4, almost there. 1 more breath. 5, inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale here. Then cross your feet, hiding them underneath you. Inhale, find your way back to plank pose. Get a good plank. And exhale, chaturanga. You can come all the way down. Keep it easy. Roll the shoulders down the back. And inhale, lift the chest. Deep breath in. Exhale, downward facing. Deep breath out. Then we're going to again come to seated. Cross your feet. Let's come to seated. Straighten out your legs. Now let's begin to work Tiryang Mukhaikapada Paschimattansana. So we're going to internally rotate the hip joints. So bend your right knee like this. You can lean a little over to the left side, which is going to pick up the right hip. We're going to have to get it down. Grab your calf muscle and roll the calf muscle out. Then, after you roll the calf muscle out, point the right foot and keep it near your pelvis. Draw the knees in towards each other and let that separation of the calf muscle from your thigh give you the space to aim your hip to the ground. And then another hidden secret of internal rotation is that the pelvis needs to widen. So this is something you can really only do for yourself. Reach underneath and find your butt muscle and move the butt muscle out of the way. And this is going to give you a little bit deeper connection into the internal rotation. Then watch your right thigh bone rolling in while the right hip joint rolls back and down. And just hold that here for a few breaths. 1. I'll show you the modification in a moment if this is not accessible for you. 2. There starts to be any pain on the front of the right knee, then you might want to hold off for the modification. All right. 3, 4, we're almost there. 5. Now we're going to bend forward. Most of the time what happens when we bend forward is we pop off to the side like this and the hip gets very, very elevated and the knee starts to open. If that happens, I really recommend you use your hands to stabilize your pelvis, push a little with your left hand, and just stay seated with the right toes pointed and your hands holding you into a symmetrical position. In this posture, again, you fold your chest center to the left knee when you go down, and you can press with your left calf muscle to keep that left leg very energized. As much as you move forward with your shoulders, your hip from the inside is going to be rolling back and down. From here, you can hold onto your foot. If it's easy for you, you can hold onto your wrist. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, fold, chest to the left knee, while at the same time, you're squeezing your knees into each other. So we stay for 5. 1, 2, nice and easy. 3, roll the shoulders down the back. 4, almost there. 5, inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale, and remember you could have been just holding yourself here. Then inhale, straighten the arms, exhale there, then roll over to the side and come on out, straighten the leg. Then cross your feet. We're going to come on back, find your plank pose, get a good plank. Exhale, chaturanga, upward facing, big breath in, downward facing, big breath out. Come on forward again, and let's come to seated. So I'll show you from the front this time. So in Tiryang Mukhaikapada Paschimattansana, we're internally rotating the hip joint, so you can lean a little to the side, roll the calf muscle out, and then find that widening of the pelvis in the back. What can sometimes help is if you take a very small towel and lift only the right hip a little bit up. Sometimes you can do this just by kind of rolling up the mat a little bit underneath you and then just kind of making a little bit of a perch. That small little elevation might be all you need to feel more comfortable in the posture. If that's all you need, even a little towel underneath the right side can help just push a little bit extra weight back into the left side. I always recommend in the seated postures to be comfortable upright before you try to fold forward. If you're not comfortable upright or this is your limit, then you do not fold forward. You can just stay, stabilize, and roll your thigh bones towards each other. If there's too much pain in the front of the knee, you can open the knee a little bit and keep a little space. If you do that, when you fold forward, be conscious of still folding over that straight leg so you still get your chest center to the knee. Don't move your knee more than too much out to the side. If you move it too much out to the side, this changes the dynamics of the forward bend. I'll show you how to modify while lifting the pelvis up in just a moment. So this is just a little lift. If there's any issues at the front of the knee, you could open it a little bit, maybe about 45 degrees. I recommend not to go beyond a 90 degree at this point. 45 degrees is kind of a good place as an intermediary stage. All right, let's prepare. Inhale, come forward. You can hold onto your ankle, your foot, or your wrist, or you can just take the hands out to the side, stabilize the posture. Inhale, prepare, deep breath in, exhale, fold, and as you fold, maybe you can walk a little more down, a little more down, a little more down, and then exhale, fold. We'll stay for 5. 1. Head to the knee or chin to the shin. 2. 3. Almost there. 4, and you're really activating the posture. So if you notice that you're falling off to the side, you want to activate. Push your right calf muscle into the ground and draw the left hip back. All right? Inhale, prepare. Exhale there. Come on up. And now, first remove the knee that's bent, then come off of your little perch, straighten out the yoga mat, and then come on back. Find a good plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Upward facing, deep breath in. Exhale, downward facing, deep breath out. Now again, come on through to seated, straighten out the legs. Let's take a look at some modifications for this posture. Sometimes doing a very deep internal rotation is difficult. So, for example, if you can sit comfortably in the kneeling position, but it's very difficult to open the knees, you can repeat this same movement to protect the knee by simply straightening the left leg. However, it's probably going to be harder to fold forward in this position. So if the knee needs a little protection, you can keep the foot folded underneath and then maybe just fold little gently down. So this is one modification. If child's pose is comfortable for you, but say hero's pose or virasana is uncomfortable for you. So again, if this works for you, you could simply straighten one leg, keeping your hips elevated. And this will decrease the amount of rotation in the hip joint. However, this posture is less stable, especially for this extended leg, because now the hamstring is exposed, which is why I recommend, if you're going for this option, to really go very lightly on your forward folds. Now, to progress, we need a yoga block, which is right on the other side. So I'm just going to grab that yoga block. Okay, now I've got my yoga block. With the assistance of a block, I'm going to show you how to work some modifications for this posture. I like to sit both sitting bones up on the block. Then, to test out the modification, you're going to bend your knees, both knees, and bring the knees together and let the feet really separate. So by elevating the hips, we can practice virasana or hero's pose. So using this deep elevation, let's work the internal rotation. So grab the butt muscles, lean a little forward, and open the butt. So you should now feel your sitting bones firmly grounded on the yoga block. Roll your thigh bones inward towards each other. At the same time, keep the hip joints moving back. Hands on the tops of the thighs and gaze at the nose tips. We've got 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, almost there, 4, 5. Good. Now let's practice folding forward from virasana position. So exhale, you can bend forward and check out to see if this feels comfortable for you. Keeping the hips elevated is usually a great way to check out and work a little bit deeper inside the pelvis. So just check in with how you're feeling. Almost there. Let's take 2 more breaths. Let's go for 1 more breath. Then inhale, come up, all the way up. Now, lean a little weight onto the right side and stretch out the left leg. So from here, you're able to keep the right foot a little bit more out and the knees a little bit closer together. Since the hips are elevated, you may even have an easier time folding forward. But I really recommend, if you're using this option, to go very, very gently. Take your hands forward, inhale, prepare, deep breath in. Exhale, stabilize, and let's stay for just 5 breaths. 1, notice I'm on my fingertips, not on the hands flat, and I feel like this helps me keep a little bit more weight in the pelvis, and I'm drawing in with the muscles of the low belly. Elevating both sitting bones rather than one gives a little more support to this knee and this hip joint as it's internally rotating. Say 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. Good. Inhale, come all the way up, and exhale, straighten out the right leg. Bend the left, and let's show you this from the front side. All right, internal rotation, so that really rolls inward. We get the butt muscle opening, and this leg is nice and straight. Flex the foot. So avoid flopping the legs out and just draw them in. The navel is in, and pivot a little forward. Hands down. Fingertips on the ground, align your chest to the right knee and lift up. Inhale, prepare. And exhale, just stabilize. You don't need to fold all the way forward. You're already up on the block, so we're working with the modifications. Just stabilize your modification and we'll stay steady. 2, 3, almost there. 4, almost there. Let's do 1 more. Good. Inhale, come all the way up, and exhale here. We're gonna release, so bring it out. Bend your knees, come off the block, put it over to the side, and let's come on back. Find a good plank pose. So you got your plank, exhale, chaturanga. Upward facing, big breath in. Exhale, downward facing, big breath out. Cross your feet, let's come on down to seated again. So internal rotation of the hip joints is very difficult. For some people, okay? Maybe not for everyone. There are some people, that have very easy internal rotation. So judging how you feel in hero's pose is a good indication of internal rotation. Internal rotation, especially, if you feel any pain in your knees, you wanna back off completely. If you're looking to increase your internal rotation, elevating the hips, like in the hero's pose, is a wonderful tool to help just get your thigh bones rolling a little bit more in, a little bit more in, a little bit more in. All right, when the thigh bones roll in, the hips have to widen a little bit. So this is kind of a pretty deep lesson along the practice. So now come to a comfortable seated position and stabilize for a moment. The hips have gone through a little bit of a journey, so we're just gonna give them a moment to stabilize. Connect into your bandhas, connect into your pelvic floor. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel that connection between breath, body, and mind. Integrate whatever modification is appropriate for your body, whether elevating the hips completely or just elevating them a little bit, or working the posture in its traditional presentation. Never judging the body, but just being with where you are. 1 more breath. And as you exhale, open the eyes. Take a moment and just appreciate the gift of yoga, how you feel right now, even with this little bit of practice, this little bit of movement, this good feeling that's in your body and in your mind and your heart. This is a gift, this is a benefit that comes from yoga. Now, what are you gonna do with that? This little bit of happiness that you feel, take it out into your life and spread that happiness to others. Be a little bit of a kinder, nicer person today. Engage in a random act of kindness. And when you're going out into the world, be that light that is the essence of the whole spiritual journey of yoga. So continue your practice, share your practice, and thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Continue to share your support, leave me comments, share your applause, share your badges, and let me know that you're in it for this whole journey of yoga. I know that people get a little bit kind of fatigued with these 30-day challenges, and now we get to day 12. We're getting close to the halfway point, so don't fall off, all right? Stay with it. Stay with it. I'm here. I'm showing up every day, and I want you to show up every day. They say it's 21 days to start to imprint a new habit. So I want you to develop this habit of getting on your mat, of tuning into yoga, of entering the space of yoga together so that we can create, the foundation of a true lifelong practice. And I think if you do this challenge with me, you're going to catch the fire of Ashtanga yoga and keep practicing for what I hope will be your whole life, so that you can be happier, more peaceful, spread more love in the world, be more forgiving to yourself, be more forgiving to others. That's what this is really all about. So never judge your body or anything else by what the physical expression is. Always look for that deep inner connection, the private spiritual journey of yoga. So thanks so much for joining, everyone. I will see you on the mat tomorrow. Namaste and lots of love.